should be working. Let's see if this goes up. I mean, it should bring it up, that's for sure. Okay. Says the connection's good. Don't know. Not showing up. There we go. It's showing up as being live at least. Took its time, but it's there eventually. Can pause that. So there we go. Got my phone, as I do always have. Got the Diamond Tron this time, which is so much nicer than the other CRT, but I've had to lower the resolution. I mean, it'll do over 1080p easily, but I don't think this old brick of a PC can handle it. The thing that stopped it working, it was having this plugged in. And it is literally what it looks like. It's a USB mouse. It wouldn't boot as long as that was plugged into it. It's the most bizarre problem I think I've ever encountered. But it was a problem nonetheless. Anyway, here we have the Dell, I forget its name, but I figure it's from 2001 because it matches that kind of aesthetic in Dell's range. It's an OEM board, and if it was later, it wouldn't have this kind of Windows 95, 98, 2000 key. It would have had the modernised Windows XP key. So, I mean, that's something we've got to contend with. And then, oh yes, we were writing about Chat MP3 telling the guy he had to steal cookies. Or I was writing about that, but going to continue that. I think I just hit, 24,000 words and then gave up and fell asleep. But yeah, so I did get up to 24,000 since last time. Anyway, I couldn't stop myself. I just had to keep eating them. I don't know. It's gone beyond the cookies, because whatever they put in those things sure was addictive. No less, Chat MP3 had informed me that in order to gain power in this world, I'd have to consume baked, what was the term? Not baked cookies. I mean, there's a term I'm trying to think of, but it won't come to my mind. Consumables. Yes, that's it, because you do consume the baked goods en masse. After all, Agnetha wasn't going to be pulling any punches. It was now blatantly obvious to me that she pulling, no, it should be pulling. It was now blatantly obvious to me that she was going to play dirty. This should have come as no surprise as... Yeah, this is brilliant though. It's a membrane keyboard, but it's from back when membrane keyboards were good. Because they had to get people off mechanical keyboards somehow, and they weren't going to do it by making keyboards that felt completely trashy. They had to have good feel to them, or no one would have bought them over a mechanical keyboard. Like, that's the thing I find. I've used older membrane keyboards, and they've been good. There was even some, I think, very early membrane keyboard at my old school, and it felt borderline mechanical. Like, that's what we're talking about with these older boards. This being, as I say, 2001, it is pretty good for a membrane keyboard. Later on, they could afford to cut more corners, and then we have something like this. I know that's like the particularly battered example, but it's one I have here. The feel just is never going to be the same. It's not as bad as some membranes, but it's never going to be the same as something like this, which was quite obviously had a lot of attention paid to the overall feel. And I can tell that right now as I'm writing on it. Now I think, is en masse, does it need like a hyphen there? No, I don't know. I'm sure en masse is like... Ah, yes, so you have to spell mass differently. It finally latched onto that, what I was trying to write. After all, like, Nathan wasn't going to be pulling any punches. It was blatantly obvious to me that she was going to play dirty. This should have come as no surprise, as she is a demon. You cannot expect them to behave in the same way as a hero such as myself. And to be honest, it's probably for the better that that is the case, knowing how bad a person he actually is. So there we go. Gotta check the phone now and then. And yes, I'm going to have a puck mouse, I should say. I think I paid about £3.50 for it. It wasn't a lot compared to the ones that people are trying to sell for about 20 plus. Yeah, I could have done worse, given that I found an auction. I don't know what year it's from exactly, but I think it's safe to say it's 25 years old. They were discontinued in 2000. It's actually kind of impressive, to be honest, that it's not a ball mouse, being as old as it is. Like, usually, we have this mouse here. That's got like a little optical sensor on the bottom. And then there's laser mice, which are better. And there's ball mice, which are, I think, historically cheaper. But it got to the point the optical ones were so cheap to make that there was no point in keeping them in production anymore. But anyway, there was mice, and they had a little ball that rolled around inside. I do actually remember one of them, and you could take the ball out and throw it around. It was fun. Yeah. But it did kind of look like a gumball, which was kind of dangerous in its own way. Like, it looked edible, more than it should have looked edible. I mean, thankfully I didn't eat it, because then I wouldn't have had a ball for my mouse if I did that. Anyway, I mean, the funny thing is, I don't actually remember it being that bad to use, but you did need a mouse mat with them. You couldn't just stick them on like this wooden desk and use them like you can with an optical mouse or a laser mouse. And you know, it's supposed to be a keyboard video, but I'm getting distracted talking about mice. I do have this silver one actually as well, but I'm not going to be using that right now. I will use it today. You cannot expect them to behave the same way as a hero such as myself. I think we should go back to the other side of the story, because I'm kind of out of ideas for that part. So, you know, I'm going to go to the other perspective, like where she's going to enter the demon castle. No idea what you're talking about. Yeah, instead of talking about, it doesn't make sense. And yeah, so we're here. Most likely because this computer was so overloaded with viruses and spyware that it could barely process a simple door opening request. That's why it took so long for a door to open. no less, at least I wouldn't have to saddle myself with such a pathetic lump of metal and silicone any longer. No less. I think I need a comma after no less. At least I wouldn't have to saddle myself with such a pathetic lump of metal and silicone any longer. Because that's what they use on the circuit boards to like make contact and do all the computery stuff. I'm not good with software though. I like hardware, but I don't know so much about software. That's why I just put Linux on it and used it. I couldn't like do my own coding or anything to save my life. And why am I playing with the on-off button on my Diamondtron? I mean, I'm enjoying this monitor though. It does look low res at what amounts to 720p when I can run, I believe, double resolution on this, which is 1920 by 1440. So slightly taller version of 1080p. Looks quite good that, and I can run 1080p video natively, and man, does that look amazing. Because it's one of the better CRTs. It's no Sony FW900 because that is like peak CRT, but to be entirely honest, I doubt I would fit that on my desk at all because that's like this but wider. So a 22-inch Diamondtron I'm perfectly happy with. It's still like my dream type of monitor. Especially for an older kind of style machine like this. It's just so perfect together. Alright then, let's just randomly open an optical drive because I feel like it. Oh. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. I might have unplugged it by accident. The other ones all work. I said all work. There, now I've opened the optical drive. Now I am happy. I'll have to have a look inside. I think that optical drive might have come unplugged in one way or another. But the rest of the system is working, that's the important thing. Oh, the lights also aren't working on the front. I think I also need a couple of cables to go in there. But in all important ways it works. So,